Phones are great, and if there's one thing that got better and better over the years, that is the camera. And in this video, we'll talk about how you can use your phone's camera to shoot cinematic content like this. But I know, when you try to do something similar, your videos look like this. That's why in this video we're going to fix that, and we're going to talk about 5 things you can do to have similar results like mine. We're going to talk about your iPhone camera setting, lights, composition, what the heck is shutter speed, white balance, and most importantly, we are going to talk about why you should never use your iPhone or your Android native camera app, because they do not give you any manual control whatsoever. So let's get into it. First of all, before anything else, I want you to install third-party camera app on your phone. Filmmaking Pro is the best option, but it's also subscription based. So you can use Blackmagic Cam app. It's free and it'll do almost everything that Filmmaking Pro does. After installing the app, the first thing most beginners will do is start filming. But we're not gonna do that. We are going to fix our lighting first. Look at this shot, for example. This is with the lighting that is already available in the room, which is bulb, lamp, or normal tube light. But we are going to use the best light that we have, that is the sun. And look at the difference. But Rohit, I don't have any window in my room to have natural sunlight. In that case, you can use ring light or video lights. I have Godox video light, so I'm going to use that. If you don't have any experience with external lights, just point the light directly at the ceiling. It will create even light in the entire room, which is far better than the light that is already available in the room. Or you can use diffusers or modifiers to point the light directly at the subject, which in this case is me typing on the keyboard. Okay, so now you have fixed the lighting situation and installed the app. But what settings should I change? Why did we even install it in the first place? There are 2 main reasons why we installed this app. First, manual control over shutter speed. Second, manual control over white balance. The native camera app on iPhone does not give you any manual control over those settings, but you need manual control over those settings to have the most professional video possible. Before we even open the app and start shooting, just go to your settings and make sure that you are recording at the highest quality possible. By that I do not mean you have to record everything at 120 fps. I mean, if your phone can record at 4K, you would want to shoot in that. I personally never liked the 24 fps on Apple. It seems very jittery to me. So I have shot everything on 30 fps. But maybe that's just me. If you want to shoot at 24 fps, that's completely fine as well. After that, make sure you turn on low white balance under composition. We turned this off so your white balance doesn't shift while you're recording the video. But what the heck is white balance? I am going to explain it later in the video. Also, if you have the latest iPhone Pro, you'll be able to shoot in low profile. If you want more control over the colors in your videos, you will want to shoot in low profile. But remember, the file size is going to be huge. Also, you have to connect an SSD to your iPhone to record in low profile. But if you have installed the app that I suggested, which is Blackmagic Cam app, you will be able to bypass that and record everything internally. You can thank me later for that. Alright, now just go to the comment section. Okay, so now that we are done with the settings, let's compose our shot and see what we are working with. Now you can use a tripod or shoot everything handheld. For most cases, I am assuming that you set up your phone on a tripod. But if you are not doing that, let me give you an example of a handheld shot and a fixed camera shot. Let me know which one you like and which seems more professional to you. Now it's very clear that a fixed camera shot is much more professional than a handheld shot, because it is. Now you can use gimbal and stabilization effect to remove jerks from your video, but still I would suggest you to use tripod, because for most cases fixed camera is much better than a handheld shot. Okay, so now that you have decided to use the tripod, still how do you compose and frame your shot? And of course we are going to use the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds involves dividing the frame into 9 parts. There are 2 equally spaced horizontal lines and there are 2 equally spaced vertical lines. If you're using the native camera app and can't see these lines, just go to your setting under composition and turn on grid. But if you're using the Blackmagic app, you should see it from the very start. If it's not turned on, just press this button, select the grid icon, and there you go. There are more options here, but we are not going to talk about them in this video. But why do we want grid? The idea is to place the most important elements in your composition along these lines or at the intersection of these lines. This method will make your composition much more dynamic and balanced. Let me give you an example. Look at these two shots of me and let me know which one is more balanced and interesting. I really hope that you think that the second shot is much more interesting than the first shot. But what is the difference? On the first shot, the left part is much more crowded and the right side is almost empty, giving us the very unbalanced composition. On the other hand, on the second shot, I moved the lamp from the left side to the right side, making it equally balanced on both sides. This is just one very basic example of rule of thirds. There is so much more that determines a good shot and a bad shot. But just using these techniques will give you a much natural look in your videos. And if you're recording yourself for Instagram Reels and talking to the camera, make sure you set up your camera where you have a lot of space behind you. That will give you a very good depth of field in your videos. But I don't have a lot of space in my room to make videos. In that case, place your camera as close as you can to the wall diagonally and it'll give you the maximum depth there is according to your room. Now that you have framed your shot and selected the highest quality possible, it's time for us to dial that shutter speed and white balance. Always ensure that your shutter speed is double your frame rate. For example, if you're shooting a video at 4K 30 fps, you would want your shutter speed to be 1/60th of a second. And if you're shooting everything at 120 fps, you would want your shutter speed to 1/240th of a second. Always double your frame rate. This will give you the best cinematic motion blur in your videos. If you don't know what motion blur is, just look at my hand. How crisp or blurry I want this to be will be determined by my shutter speed. Right now I'm shooting everything at 24 fps and my shutter speed is 1/50th of a second. I know I said double your frame rate, so in this case it should be 1/48th of a second. But most cameras will give you the increment of 5 while you're selecting your shutter speed. So either I can set it to 1/45th of a second or 1/50th of a second. And I think 1/50th of a second works best in this case. It's just my dog. Bella, sit down. Shh. Now let's just dial that white balance and start shooting. But what is the white balance? You adjust your white balance in your camera or in your phone according to the lights that are available in the room that you're shooting in. If you're shooting outside, you adjust it according to the sun. If you're shooting indoors, you adjust it according to your lights to have the best natural look. Still, what do I mean by that? By setting white balance, you tell your camera that hey, this is a warm light and this is a cool light, because your camera is not as accurate as you are. Sometimes your camera and phone will adjust it accurately, but most of the times you need manual control over those to have best possible look. We measure lights in kelvins per unit. It's going to range from 2000 Kelvin to 10,000 kelvins. 2000 Kelvin is a warm light, like this lamp right here. But as you increase the number, the light is going to shift from warm light to cool light or blue light. For example, this lamp right here, it will range from 2000 Kelvin to 3500 Kelvin. And your fluorescent tube light is cool light. It's going to range from 5600 Kelvin all the way up to 10,000 kelvins depending upon how cool it is. So the general rule is that if you shoot outside 99% of the time, you'll set your white balance to 5600 Kelvin to 6000 Kelvin, and if you shoot inside, most of the times you will want to set your white balance to 2600 Kelvin to 3600 Kelvin, obviously according to your preference. And I promise you, if you did everything that we talked about, your videos will look much more professional than before. If you have any question, let me know in the comment section. But if you didn't learn anything from this video, if you didn't gain anything from this video, hit that dislike button twice and unsubscribe if you haven't already. And I don't want you to do that. You know what I mean. Anyway, my name is Rohit Nagra and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep reading. Hit that dislike button twice. Twice.